Hello and welcome, my dear Sky Modelers. My name is Tomo, you are you, and this is my small hobby YouTube channel. Hello guys, in today's video we are going to be taking a look at one of the oldies goldies from Tamiya, a Fiat 131 ABARTH OLIO. This is a model that really stood well in the test of time from Tamiya. It's a 40-year-old model that's been reboxed and added some new decals along the way. It's been reboxed 3 times as far as I can tell, in the 80s and now in the 2020s. The price point for this model is pretty steep for a model that's 40 years old, and I think that Tamiya is really pushing it this time. But the model is really good, and you'll see in just a moment. If you are new to this channel, then please take a look around. There's many more other review videos that I've done in the past years. I have also some build videos and some tutorials, but mostly reviews. Anyway, let's just take a look in the box, shall we? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fiat 131 ABARTH RALLY OLIO Fiat in 1/20th scale. Yes, it is a 1/20th scale. This is, as far as I can tell, an older model that was introduced by Tamiya in the 1980s, I think, and then subsequently released twice in 1981 and 2020, each time in different paint schemes and decals. This, of course, is the latest version, and it will cost you anywhere from 49 to 57 euros depending on where you live in Europe. If you live anywhere else in the world, well, check your local hobby shop. Upon opening the box, we find 6 sprues that contain all the necessary parts to finish the model. We also have a body and a chassis. Oh, but that's not all. Oh, no. We also get some rubber tires, we get some springs, vinyl tubing, some steel wire for the antenna, metallic tie rod, polycaps, and rivets for the wheels. And also we get masks and, of course, a decal sheet of paper with beautifully printed decals. Last but not least, a manual and some quick tips from Tamiya. So what are the features of this particular model? Well, we have a detailed reconstruction of the ABARTH tuned 2-liter DOHC engine. Also, we have realistic interior and suspension for bouncy, and it has 2 drivers, well, a driver and a co-driver. For a model that is from the 1980s, this looks absolutely fantastic, and some other manufacturers would be really hard-pressed to actually get this level of detail on an old model kit such as this. Maybe Tamiya had retooled some of their older tools to make this particular model kit, but I don't think so. I think it's more likely that they just slapped some stickers and new paint scheme to make it more profitable, because doing a whole R&D on a new old model is just too much. I've been looking at these parts for several days now, and maybe this is just me, but in my observation I find them to be a little chunky. Maybe that's just the way the parts were made back then, but they feel a little bit chunky. Of course, yes, this is a 1/20th scale model, so maybe that's throwing me off because I'm used to 1/24th, and it is a big difference. Well, I would say slight difference. And if this is a model that was first introduced 40 years ago, then wow, really, my head goes down to them. The detail, of course, as you can see in the close-up shots, is phenomenal. The attachment points are a little bit too close for my liking, but I think that's just the technology from the day. But the detail, the surface detail, is fantastic. Flash Gordon is far away from every single piece in the sprue, and look at the detail on the brakes and the calipers. Fantastic. I mean, you have the grooves as well. It's just unbelievable how well made this is. Now, for those of you who are new to the hobby or don't know Tamiya or models in general, classic cars and cars in general are made in various plastics, or more specifically, various colors of plastics. Now, the reason for that is that cars and motorcycles alike are usually painted in bright colors, and bright colors are best represented on a white background. So Tamiya is kind of giving you a heads up, but not just Tamiya, every other manufacturer as well. For that same reason, engine, suspension, interiors, and chassis are usually in darker colors, usually black or grayish. That's because these parts are painted in darker colors, and they don't need to be as flashy and bright as the body panels. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't paint them in bright colors. It just means that you'll have to prime the parts with white primer before applying those very high color, high contrast colors on top. But that also means that if you apply too much paint on the surface of the model, you might lose some surface detail, especially if that surface detail is very shallow. And that, of course, is all depending on the scale, but you get the idea what I'm trying to say. Car models also have some chrome parts and clear parts such as these, and Tamiya absolutely kills it with all their clear parts. They look like glass. This is really clear plastic, and it's fan-freaking-tastic. And you'll see here what I'm trying to say. See, very clear, no distortion. You can see the cover for the lens. Absolutely fantastic. Also some chrome parts, which are the wheels and interior portion of the light, so that you don't have to paint them. And every manufacturer has their own idea of how metallic parts are supposed to look like. Some are more chrome, some are more matte like this, but you know, it's manufacturer specific. And this is the bag of goodies that transforms this model into a car. We have tires, we have springs, we have vinyl tubing, we have polycaps, we have a tie rod and rivets. These, of course, are real rubber tires with nice tread and good detail, but do need a little bit of cleanup. With this model kit, you get some masking film, decals, and this lovely steel wire to represent the antenna on top. This rather lovely masking sheet of paper has all the gnarly shapes printed on it, but they're not pre-cut, so it's really gonna be a challenge to cut them out. We also have this very lovely decal sheet of paper with very sharp and colorful decals that have very good detail, even up close when you zoom in on the lens. And you can see here from these very lovely close-up shots that I made for your viewing pleasure. The last thing that we have to take a look at is, of course, the manual, this time printed on a semi-gloss piece of paper, black and white, nothing too fancy, and tells you exactly how the darn thing goes together. It has 16 pages and it's pretty reasonably laid out. If you have ever built Tamiya model kits, and I'm sure you did, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with them. And if not, well, this is how they look. They are very straightforward and relatively simple. They don't feel particularly rushed and not that cluttered, so the workflow should be pretty straightforward and relatively easy once you get the hang of it. There is a little bit more text here and there, but I think more text is better than just squiggly lines and questionable symbols. It is just a shame that you do not get a colored paint scheme like some other manufacturers give you, but that's Tamiya for you. Well, I see you've made it to the end of this YouTube video. Why don't you celebrate by clicking subscribe, share, and like? It'll be the best thing you've done in a long time. Thank you so very much for watching. If you have been, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye. Well, I see you made it to the end of this video.